Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. I think it's pretty safe to say that I'm the story guy of For Honor. I tell stories about my characters, about possibilities in For Honor, and craft whole tales within Heathmore. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, so to create lore and make a story about a character is what I love to do, and it's what I've been doing for a while. I've had quite a few folks in my community and beyond come to ask me how to do it or to ask my opinion on theirs. I'll be sent legend concepts to look over, and I'll have folks ask me what it takes to craft a legend, so I figure I'll share some tips and tricks I've developed. So, brace yourself, folks. There are a lot of ideas and suggestions I can offer, but for today, let's focus on the 5 big things to bear in mind when crafting a legend. So let's get started. Number 1, you need to establish what your character wants and why. When writing a character, knowing what a character wants is not just a suggestion, okay? It is a necessity. Goals and desires and wants are critical to writing characters. If your character doesn't want anything or they aren't aiming for something, that's a red flag. If your character says that they don't know what they want, that's also a red flag. You need to establish some kind of direction. If your character doesn't know what they want, establish that later they're going to figure out what they want, or something's going to change that allows them to realize they want something, or maybe they're trying to get to a point where they understand what they want because they don't quite understand how to compartmentalize it yet. But the fact is, if you're writing a legend for your character, trying to create a character, you need to establish that they want something. Then, after you establish that they want something, establish why they want this thing. If your character wants revenge against someone, why do they want revenge? If your character wants to meet their long-lost father, why do they long to meet their father? What's important about that? If your character wants to be the very best like no one ever was, then don't ask why, ask how they plan to defeat Ash Ketchup. My point is this: if your character doesn't know what they want or why they want it, why should your audience care about their journey? The key to writing a good character, especially a legend character in For Honor, is you need to make your audience care about that journey. You need to make the audience look at this character and go, I want to follow them. I want to see where they end up. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking a character that all other For Honor players have access to, making your own, and then asking the rest of the For Honor community to care about this character. Hard to do unless you give them a valid reason to care. And the first step to doing that is to give them a want, a why, and a how. What do they want? Why do they want it? How are they going to achieve it? That's the first step. Number 2. Second point, remember the setting. Okay, some of you aren't going to like this, but remember this. This is important. Heathmore is in a medieval setting, and as such, you need to try to maintain that in your mind when writing dialogue, desires, outlooks, and wants, okay? So, for example, there will not be modern language. There will not be slang and terminology. That's just not going to be there. You're not going to hear some warden go up and go, yo, what's up, dog? How you doing, my homie? Dude, what's coppin', dude? No, you're not going to hear that. You will not hear the word dude, okay? That's not going to happen. That's not coming up. You're not going to hear, dude, that's so tight, man. That's not happening. None of that's happening, okay? You're going to be speaking like it is a medieval time. You can still use some modernized style of talk, like you can say, hello, friend, how are you doing today? Have a good one. You don't need to talk like Shakespeare, okay? You don't need to say, I walketh to the store to partake in some revolutionary grocery of shop. No, you don't need to talk like that. But what I am saying is you're not going to involve a lot of slang because it's going to feel very out of place. Speak naturally, and that's going to take some practice, but speak naturally. This is what we call controlling the voice. So that's the first thing. Then consider race relations. Race relations at this time will not look the same as they do today. We have race relations in our modern day built upon how history has evolved. But back at this point in time, race relations wouldn't look quite like they do today, okay? So if you're writing a story about a Magi coming to Ashfeld, you're not going to have a lot of racist Ashfeldians because he's black. If they're racist towards him, it's because he's Egyptian. It's because he's not from Ashfeld or he's not from Heathmore, okay? Race relations would not look exactly the same. You can have prejudices, but they won't be built on the same structure as they are in the modern day. Also, heterosexuality will still be the most prominent form of sexuality, okay? And there's historical precedent to say that homosexuality and stuff like it did exist in the ancient world, but it was not prominent, it was not celebrated, and it was not common. So if you're going to involve it, it has to be very seldom, hidden, and it probably doesn't need to take up the whole crux of the story. Just keep in mind that about the time period that this is taking place in. Next, travel is still limited to horses and carts. You're not going to be able to zip across everything super fast. If you're going to establish a character going from one place to another, take the time to have them make that trek. You know what I'm saying? Long distance communication is not instantaneous. We're still dealing with long distance travel. We're still dealing with bird messages. We're still dealing with riding on horses to get things places. You're not going to get information very quickly.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.
I'm not saying that you have to be an expert in the medieval time period, but you need to have some awareness of these things, because if you don't and you start adding a lot of modern stuff into your story, it is going to stand out. And yes, I know people are going to say, oh, come on, For Honor involves fantasy. Yes, it does, but the game has always grounded itself in sort of a medieval style feel. So when writing a story, it would be very smart to keep that in mind as you write. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't add these things. You can try to add some different things. You can add some prejudices. You can add some unique sexuality. You can add long distance communication that's kind of quick. You can add unique travel. But if you're going to deviate, it has to be handled carefully and explained well. Otherwise, it's going to be very shocking. That's what I'll say about that, okay? All right, number three. Supernatural is okay within reason. I'll have a lot of people ask me about the implementation of supernatural powers or elements in your story. You can do that. Want a yokai? Go for it. Want to involve werewolves and vampires? Sure thing. One little mystic mumbo jumbo? It can work. Awesome. I have no problem with that. However, you have to keep it within reason. Plus, you need to be sure you limit it so that it's not going to rewrite the entire setting as it is. For example, if you want to make a yokai character like I did with Rio, go for it. But what kind of yokai are they? Does all of Heathmore know about them being a yokai? Are they just a legend, or are they known players in the world of Heathmore? Take one of my most recent ones, Kawakami Hayate, the Sohei I created who turned out to be a guardian kami. He's just a legend to the rest of Heathmore. No one is sure he actually exists, yet there are those in the mire who swear that he does. This creates a realm of believability to him. Was he really a kami? Was he an ordinary warrior who saved the village? Was he a made-up monster by the cult? Be constantly aware of the fact that Heathmore, at its roots, is a game based on medieval war and realism. Fantasy elements can be added, but they have to be handled carefully and delicately, or you're going to run into issues where the world and your character clash. So, for example, if you have a character who's a vampire, and everyone knows they're a vampire, and everyone accepts that they're a vampire, well, now we have a question. Where did vampires come from? Why is it accepted? Are they just known to all the different factions? Like, you've got to handle it carefully, because unless it's been prior... Like, here's the thing. Yokai work really well in the world of Heathmore, because we had a whole season dedicated to yokai. So if you wanted to make a character who was a yokai, dude, that actually works out very well for you, because you can build off of that season where we established the yokai. But we haven't had a season totally dedicated to vampires, right? Unless you want to use the Fangs of the Otherworld event, which was cool. You could try to build off of that, but my point stands. If you're going to involve supernatural elements, treat it very carefully. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Number 4. Do not be afraid of tropes. All right. I want to say this for the record. I can't tell you how many people ask me about my opinion on tropes in writing. I'm going to say this for the record. Ready? Tropes are not a problem. Repetitive and predictable tropes are a problem. If your trope is so obvious and so used that everyone and their dog can see it coming, of course it's going to be bad. Once upon a time, the damsel in distress trope was so overdone that people tried to subvert it by having the damsel rescue herself. And that was cool for a while. The princess who saves herself from danger, kind of cool, kind of awesome. You know, people liked it. But now it's been done so frequently and so heavy-handed that it itself has become an overdone trope. Now, I'd honestly be more surprised if I saw a brave knight save a damsel from a dragon. I'd honestly be more surprised if I saw that in a movie nowadays. And the same goes for your legends. Do not be afraid of falling into a trope, but see what you can do to make it, somewhat more creative. An example is my story on Tian Qilong, my Zhongjun. The dude lost his wife in a battle and now he's depressed and wants to die, but he still maintains his commitment to his lord. It's the classic lost loved one trope, right? We've seen this before, where the wise old warrior lost someone he loved and now he's lost his reason to keep going. He's lost something very important to him. But then we get the twist that the emperor, the man Tian Qilong trusts and serves, was the one who arranged for his wife to be kidnapped and killed so that it would break him into his service or kill him. That's a deviation from the typical trope. It takes the trope, but twists it in such a way that it makes it more appealing and fun. And you don't have to do it that way yourself. But my point is that if you're going to be predictable, you might want to think about something outside the box to avoid that. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid of tropes. Tropes just happen, okay? I think it's hard to avoid tropes in general. You're going to end up having tropes in your story whether you like it or not. But what you need to do is be creative enough not to fall into those tropes. You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, fall into those tropes in the right way is what I'm saying. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I don't understand what I'm saying. Let's move on. All right, number 5, and this is probably one of the most important ones I can say. Do not be a canon kryptonite. No, we're not talking about Superman. I mean something here. This should be obvious, but I'm going to say it. Do not, repeat this, do not make your character a killer of canon. What do I mean by that? I once had a person tell me that they came up with a warmonger legend who betrays Orcos and kills Astria. No. Hell no, in fact. No, you cannot do this. Look, you want to make a warmonger who betrays Astria or a griffin who betrays Holden? Do that. Do what you want with that. I'm fine with it. Dude, a warmonger who betrays Orcos, they're a dime a dozen. We've seen them all the time. But if you kill canon characters, well, now we've got a serious problem. That character that you kill could well be relevant or return to the story later, and if that's the case, it makes your story unable to function properly. I know people complain that not enough named characters die, and I agree, but you still have to respect the story canon as it stands. Astria is still alive. Griffin is still alive, so leave them be. Even Timwa, my Medjai, did not kill Neferka. He had every reason to. He hates Neferka, thinking of him as the false pharaoh, and has vowed to end him so that he can save Neferka's younger sister, the true queen of Egypt, and he will save her from her weak and sick state. But I will not have him kill Neferka, not until Ubisoft says, yes, you can kill him. Then the true king of Egypt shall rise, Timwa will return to his beloved, and they will rule together and bring Egypt back to prosperity. Or something like that. Sorry, I got a little lost in the moment. But my point still stands. You need to make sure that you do not become a killer of canon. It is okay if your character does not like a canon character, or you can even make it where they fight a canon character. But you cannot kill them, because you do not want to go against the current canon of For Honor. Like Kiku, my Hitakiri character, she fought Astria. She lost. And that's fine. It's fine to have your character lose. In fact, I would say it's a good thing. Your character losing or struggling or failing in something only adds more believability to the character. If your character is winning everything, if your character is able to beat named characters like Astria, Vela, Ravier, or any of these other characters, then suddenly there's a lack of believability because it's like, holy crap, this character is incredible. This character is unbelievable. Like, I would never have it where Ruth could beat Apollyon or beat Astria or something like that. I think it'd be cool if they fought, but I would never have it where that happened. Like, people have been talking, this is kind of funny, people have been saying that I should have Tian Qilong, my Zhongjun, fight General Zhe for the position of Emperor of the Wulen. And while I think that would be totally awesome, and we should do a poll where we decide who would win, Tian Qilong or Zhe, we should decide who should win that fight. But I would love to have him become the new Emperor of the Wulen. That'd be totally sick. But I'm not going to do it because Commander Zhe, General Zhe, may become important later on. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that kind of make sense? So those are my 5 pieces of advice. And to go over them one more time, here they all are. Number 1, what does your character want and why? You need to establish what your character is aiming to do, why they want to do it, and how they want to go about doing it. Number 2, remember the setting. This is not the modern day. This is medieval times. Things are going to look different. It won't always look so super clean, easy, and fun. It's not going to, the people aren't going to talk the same way, think the same way, or look at each other the same way. You need to be aware of that. Be careful of that. It's not that you need to draw specific attention to these things, but you do need to be aware of them. Number 3, supernatural is okay within reason. Just make sure that the supernatural fits and makes sense within the world. Be subtle about it, and do not be afraid of tropes. You're going to end up making tropes, but try to be creative with them as you go through. And finally, do not be a canon kryptonite. Be careful how you have your characters interact with the canon world and characters of For Honor. Those are my 5 first major tips when it comes to writing a legend. And if you guys like this video, I will do more tip videos in the future. But for now, I think we can leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know if you have any legends that you're working on, and if these tips will help you write yours. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.